Morena whānau, tēnā rā tātou katoa. We are about to start our Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board hui, and I'll get Matua to open us up with a karakia.
Morena tātou, kia ringi tātou, kia whakapangia tātou, kia tōkahara o te matua, te mati me te wairua tātou. I te whānau kia rina tātou I ringi te aro te ringi Māori o te ora o te whānau. Kia rihina tātou te atua kaharawa te atua ngā tapai. E te matua tapu te atua kaharawa ora tonu hoki. A whakarongo mai kia mātua I runga tō tapai. E te ariki ko tēnei hoki au nei ponunga te inga te kia koe. Tuko mai tō wairua tapu e whakameninga mai ki rote I tēnei tari a te rangi nei. Are ini ia mā te ki runga hoki tāra te tika te ponua te aroa tētai ki tētai. Ka noho maria mā te raro hoki te maru o tau nei aroa. Mā tēnei matu ariki mahi o krito. Amene.
Ora tātai. Pamana tāti katoa. Mihea te roi kia kai tēnei ata e tāti. Te arangia tātu mā. Te tātu huihuinga e tēnei rā. Te wana moimiti mena pororo mena kupuri. A pororo mungi o tātu mātu e te rā. Reira tātu mai e tā mai ne. E te laro ta tātu tuinui tēnei ata no reira whakautou mā. Riri noa, huri noa, kia ora māno tātu katoa.
Tēnā kōrua. I just want to acknowledge that there are many whānau who've been impacted by the recent storms and are still going through the recovery, and really want to mihi and send aroha to all of the people who've been impacted. And we understand it's still ongoing, and I hope that you're getting the help that you need. And kia ora, moko. Matua Edis Moko is here as a technological expert, so kia ora, you're welcome. And kia ora to our manuhiri here. So first are there any apologies? I think we are going to have Scarlett Mukaraka coming online soon. Do we have any other apologies?
But he may be
and do we have any declarations of interest?
Yes, I have a conflict with the Kaikohe-Hokianga shade sales.
Kia ora, Dennis. So we do not have public forum attendees as yet, but we do have our whānau from Oriki who are bringing us a deputation. So we'll welcome, is it Sandra? Kia ora whai. And there's 10 minutes for deputations for us. So if you don't use all your 10 minutes, then that allows time for people to ask questions, for our members to ask questions. Kia ora whai.
Kia ora. Tēnā koutou katoa. E mihi au ki te kai karakia te tuatahi me tō mahi karakia me te kai tautoko. Kia ora kaurua, tēnā kaurua. Morena, good morning. My name is Sandra Mutu and I am the Secretary of the Utakoro Horeke Mutakiore Community Districts Trust. And I have been, it has been brought to our attention that in our area we have a clinic, and across the road from our clinic we have a lack of a footpath, to say as much. We have car parking, but I'm not sure if everyone knows, but I have one photo for everyone to have a look at. So we've got kaumātua and koe that live around this area, and they've noticed that I've only got one photo. I'm saving the heat and trees. We have like the footpath starts here, and then there's no footpath, and then we continue here, and then the car parking happens, and our whānau have to cross the road, go across the no footpath, and come back to the footpath. It's been identified by a couple of our community kaumātua that it's quite dangerous when we have clinics, because their car park is full, and we have tamariki and whānau with children trying to cross the road when the road is really busy on a clinic day, and especially busy when we have community initiative days, i.e. Mangungu Day. And it's horrendous. And we watch, and our two kaumātua that live on either side have watched people trying to cross the road, move across and go to the other side to the footpath. So I'm here on behalf of those kaumātua who I put in an RFS for it, and then I was asked to come here and do a deputation. So I'm here on behalf of those community members that have identified that safety hazard and have asked if we could have some awhi or help from Whanau District Council in terms of a footpath to go around that, so they were not having to cross the road to go around that car park area. I did meet with Scarlett. She came down to a couple of weeks ago, and we walked through and I showed her the area of concern for our kaumātua, especially our kaumātua live across the road. So they used that as well. And that was a big issue addressed to us at our monthly meeting that we had at our Horeke Hall. Part of our role of the Witakura Horeke Motukiore Community Trust is we manage the Horeke Hall for Horeke Court as well on behalf of the Whanau District Council. So that's the first issue that I've come part of my deputation. Was there any questions? I was told that you already have photos and we're in fact.
Are there any people have any questions?
Do you think a pedestrian crossing would be beneficial as well?
Yes, very beneficial, because they actually cross the road to go to the car park to go to the clinic, and then they go, when they finish the appointment, they go back to the car park. And when the town is full and we have days like regatta and all that, it's just, we have whānau days and there's parking all the way up that street and quite dangerous if you're walking on the road and trying to cross the road. And that was the first thing I wanted to address. I know that was the only thing there was another thing that I wanted to address, because we have I hear there's a beautification fund for communities. And for lack of better words, down the wharf where the Whanau District Council is responsible for, it's a ghetto. There's vandalism all over the wharf. I have photos. I'm currently getting Tony here to print them out, but she's got going to be about 10 minutes late. She said about 10 minutes. But there's vandalism all over the wharf. It looks terrible. And there is a concern for that area that it's not safe for our children anymore, like it used to be. Back in the day, we could go down there and swim, but there's the seawall has started to deteriorate and go into the tide. There's big rocks now where only our tamariki swim. And I have photos of that, so I'm just waiting for Tony to print them, and then I will and hand them and we'll talk to it later. But I ask that we can be considered, Horeke can be considered for that beautification funding. We were the only community that didn't get shade sails. Over our little park that we have for our tamariki. I saw every other community in the Hokianga and the north get shade sails, but we didn't get any. So I think we're getting a little bit missed out, and there isn't anybody that's stepping forward and speaking for our community. So hence Kaikohe-Hokianga. There's lots of things, but how do we access the funding?
Yes. I think there's probably some more questions, because that we will be considering that. So as a board, we consider how the beautification fund will be utilised, and so we are looking at various community plans that have been put forward, and I know Horeke and your area have put forward a lot.
Finally, we've put one forward. We haven't.
So I think, Kelly, did you have any more questions?
So have you seen the agenda item in our agenda today? Page 17?
I just got an email to say somebody contacted me with this.
So we've got a couple more minutes to have a discussion. If you want to share some of the possibilities. Yes.
So I can hang around for that?
Yes, that's still public. I have to let you know though, when it comes to my chair announcements, we're actually shifting that in the agenda because we have to make some adjustments around some things. So it depends how long you would like to stay for. So we've got a couple more minutes for questions to Vice Sandra.
So we've got a copy of your plan and we've got a copy of the NZTA plan that was done for your community. Is there anything in this plan that is other than what you've mentioned that you really want?
Rubbish bins. We don't have public rubbish bins. So I go, because we manage the hall, I actually go down there and I have to pick up rubbish and get rid of it myself because there's no rubbish bins outside our hall or outside halls. We have a lot of sports clubs that use them, and there's no rubbish bins down by the wharf. So there's a lot of rubbish down there, and you could have rubbish.
Seating?
Pardon?
Seating? Like in your plan you talk about?
Yes, we would love to have some sort of barbecue tables, permanent barbecue tables down the wharf, because it's a lovely area to sit around and when the tide's in. But it's not lovely at the moment, it's vandalised.
So if that money was granted, would that be your focus area in around that? Is that where you'd like the whole beautification to be?
And of course some shade sails over our playground, rubbish bins, and focusing on beautifying that area of the wharf. And I don't know if there's another area we can look at for, because the seawall is actually degrading. I have photos of it, but they're not actually printed yet. Tony's printing them. I can show you.
So we've just got 1 minute left and I am trying to stick to time, doing my best. So some of the items you've mentioned could come under beautification. So that's will be an ongoing discussion a bit later and further on. It's really good that you brought the things like the seawall to our attention. That's probably a different area, but has an RFS been put in?
No, I was going to do
that. Yeah, I encourage all of those things to have RFSs put in, and that supports our decision making as well, because some of them will fall outside that, potentially fall outside the other funding that we have available to us. So I'm going to allow Kelly for one more short question.
In your plan, you talk about basketball hoops and things on your court. Is that still?
So we've actually the Kaikohe-Hokianga District Community Trust. We're actually doing an application. We're going to put in an application for funding, because there's funding out there for us to access through for sports, and we've actually got quotes and we've got people in, and we're starting to work on that application. It doesn't actually open until July, but we're going to put in an application to try and get them resurfaced and all of those basketball level tennis courts redone up.
Who are you applying to for that?
We're going to apply to lots of different ASB and everybody we can try and get some funding and help, because there is a lot of funding for sports. So we're going to try and do that.
Kia ora, ngā mihi whai. Thank you for coming and sharing with us, and you are welcome to stay around. We will be moving that agenda or item to later.
Thank you.
But now we will. So we don't.
Yeah.
Are you going to sit next to me now?
Mum.
Oh,
City
kia ora whānau, we're being fluid with our agenda as people are becoming available. So we will have Power Trust come and have a corridor, please. Oh, of course we've yelled at us.
So, do you want me to start? You ready? Yep. Morning, my name is Mary O'Connor. So I'm come on behalf of Power Trust. Our trust is about doing things for the community. So non-profit. My day job is I'm a community youth nurse for the North too. So part of the collective of the Mid-North Collective of Youth is the idea was Youth Week. What are we doing here in Kaikohe for our rangatahi? And so myself and Hayley, who have worked together through the Hokianga, where we've worked in the different areas, have landed as co-leads, co-coordinators. We didn't even know what it was, but we've become co-leads to put on this event in Kaikohe, bring it back to Kaikohe and do something for our rangatahi. So we have the theme for Youth Week is it's about hearing their voices, what they want and that sort of thing. So we've been supported by healthy families from Whangaroa, and they've gone around and done some insights about what the rangatahi are wanting. So they've done that piece of work. So that's what we've sort of based it on. And we've got the findings here of what they actually came up with.
Yeah, so we're really lucky to have healthy families come along on this journey with us to gather insights. So we gathered insights over 2 weeks with education providers of Kaikohe. So we had Solomon Group, People Potential, Rugby Training, North Tech, and a couple of head boy and girls from Northern College, I think, and Kaikohe Christian School. So it was really interesting pulling those youth insights together because it is about listening to the voice of our young people. And we're here today to ask you for a little bit of pūtea to support that in total for the event. For the application's sake, we did put on there a date as the 23rd of May, but we're just releasing our insights today and getting a bit more feedback from, sharing these with the wider collective, the Mid-North Connect collective of and yeah, so we just need to get a bit more feedback from them of what they're going to do and actually what our rangatahi, how they're going to lead. So in this feedback that we've got from them, it actually tells us, can I bring these up?
We bring them to
Yeah, so we just brought 2 slides of about 7. They were the most relevant ones to the presentation today. It just talks about the things that they want to do for Youth Week. It's quite sport oriented, outdoors, what else? Food orientated, free. They want free, which is, and we got to listen to our rangatahi because they're the voice of our future. And, if we're not listening to them now, how are they going to be our futures of tomorrow? So, So
And the questions were asked around what sort of environment, and they talked about what they feel is safe and those sort of things as well. So that's where it's sort of, we're building the plane while we're flying it with them because we're trying to really listen. If we're not saying, talk to us and we're not listening, then we're not doing it. We want buy-in so they're actually here.
yeah.
They know that we're listening to them.
So I'm going to move to questions. The deputation get 10 minutes, but other people don't get as long, so you're 5 minutes. So are there questions for our beautiful wahine here?
And we're asking for not just the donations, but as community members to be supportive as well. Come along, be the face with them, be that role model they're needing. And I think that's part of it too, is not just a pūtea, it's actually your faces, your support. Yeah.
Oh, kia ora. And Scarlett's arrived up online too, so I'm sure she'll be really interested in this kaupapa.
Kia ora.
Do you have a question, Scarlett?
Not at this point. I'm pretty familiar with sort of the process that has been taken to date. So, no questions or comments at this point.
Also, at 1 o'clock down at Papawaiki, this is going to be presented to Limba. Or Limba. It's going to be presented today. If you just want to come down and see the whole wiki that was done for the insights.
Kia ora. Thank you. Thank you for coming, and we'll be making your decisions later.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah. Do we have somebody from Trion? Do we have somebody from Trion?
It's here, that was.
Oh, where's it? Are we waiting for somebody else?
Yep, just me.
Kia ora. So as a deputation from Te Runanga Ai o Ngāpuhi, you have 10 minutes. It's a different time frame. Kia ora.
Ko whakawāte reo he wā mō tātou te runanga kia kūrere kia koutou, he tino mihi kia koutou tērā, koutou o te kōri hapui o tō tātou nei wāhi. Mana tūkarea hau, my name's Moana, I am the General Manager of Runanga. And I'm here today to very briefly speak to a project that's kind of been in the shaping for about 6 months that I wanted to make sure that the community board is aware of, and that you also, if you would like to also have representation on the governance group for this project, then we would welcome that. So extend an invitation to you to potentially have somebody on the committee. The project is for basically the green in town that's next to the library. That whenua is owned by Te Runanga o Ngāpuhi, and we are wanting to formalise a marketplace there. Which at the moment there is a market that's being run by the Cooperative Business Association. We have been in kōrero with them, and effectively what we're trying to do is have a funded, dedicated team that will be responsible for coordinating a farmers market and working with a network of local growers to bring produce to the market and either sell on behalf or for those growers to be able to have a local market for them to funnel really the kai through to our community. The provision or the basis of the project is really about kai sovereignty and kai security. It's really about supporting our whānau to have healthy choices that aren't only at the supermarket or that are from their own gardens. But it's also about potentially developing economic pathways in a low risk way for stallholders and being able to have a safe space for our community to meet on a regular basis and hang out. So then, in conjunction with the kai, the farmers and fresh produce, the kai that is currently being sold in the market on Thursday evening would continue. We would also add a component of toi ngāpuhi, so our weavers and carvers and so on and so forth can sell from there as well, and also a component of entertainment, so a stage where there's regular music and performances for our people to have a safe, healthy environment to gather and enjoy each other's company and whakawhanaingata. So that's the overall premise of it. We have applied to funding for the FTEs. We think it's going to be at least 2 full-time roles. We do also think that in a longer term, once the market is established, that one of those FTEs, which we are calling a kaiwhiringa role, would be able to do other place-making projects for the community. I understand that there's been a failed bid twice for a bid rating for that type of role in Kaikohe. We have some in other communities around the north where there's a funded dedicated role that does this type of mahi. What we're doing is going to other funders outside of the community to effectively pay for people to support any community activation effectively that can go beyond just the marketplace as well as the marketplace. Yeah, koina that's the guts of it. But I'm happy to answer any questions or.
I have a question.
Yes,
I'm just, it sounds amazing, and Kai sovereignty is so important. A farmers market here would be exciting. I just wondered, do you have an idea of what are you asking from our community boards?
Two things. We would love to have representation on the governance group. So that governance group currently sits as a subcommittee of the Runanga. We have representation from the Business Association, from Hapu, from the Runanga, and we're hoping that the community board would also take a position on. It's a collective effort, so whatever we can help to support in that regard would be welcome. And in terms of funding, we are looking for infrastructure funding. We think we've got the FTE funding covered for the at very least year one. It is we've got a 3-year rollout or phasing out of the project altogether, but year one is looking very likely to have the manpower covered, but we would contribution towards the infrastructure that's going to be needed on the site, which includes proper power to the site, some weather covering if we can, depending on the level that we can afford to go. It probably in year one it's going to look a little bit basic landscaping. We want to be able to tie it into the library. We want to be able to leverage off the opening of the library in terms of having a bigger community space there. So those are the main things really. 30,000 would be amazing, but to be honest, we'll take whatever you're willing to offer. Yeah, we understand that the fund that you have to distribute is limited, and we don't want to take checks too, because we are looking at various funders. So for the project, they hoping that come straight out of the community's pocket.
And you're aware of our pride of place funding that you can apply for?
Yes, we are.
Are there any other questions?
Kia ora, moana. Now, I'm just a newbie on this board now. I've noted, you've the market there on Thursdays, it's quite well supported. But I just want to know, I've just found out just now that the Runanga owns that property. And who actually looks after the place, after the markets? Because unfortunately, like using Horiki, there's vandalism goes around, and you see cars in there, hooning around in there, and they don't seem to be taking any notice of who tries to calm that outfit. And it's owns the place. Is it possible? I don't really know. I know it's hard to put a security fence around it to stop these cars from going in there.
Yes, kia ora. So we do have some kaitiaki. It's mostly voluntary, the mahi that the cooperative does when they run the market. We've put in those stones at the front, the big rocks, to try and prevent the cars from going in there, but they just push them out of the way. If they want to get up there, they find a way and they do. But we are hoping to have a much more secure frontage that doesn't block it off, so that it can still be a space that the community can use freely, but is not going to allow cars in there, and that's part of the infrastructure that we would do. At the back as well, we would want to make that into a bit more of a car park that would be able to live in at the back of the car park. That's a bit of a long-term thing for Kaikohe, but for now at the front, we are hoping to be able to stop preventing cars from going in. With a dedicated role, like person in the position that we are hoping to create and fill, is it will be their job effectively to take care of all of that vandalism. But there's a lot of people that don't understand that, who don't know who the owners are. The market will have signage, it will have probably a notice board in terms of the times and contact details and things like that. The market will take place. And I expect as it grows, it'll just become more secure as a place that doesn't get vandals.
So I'm going to move on, but I can see a comment from Scarlett Nipa Mokuraka up there saying, I'd be happy to sit on the committee alongside any other CB members. So that's probably a discussion to have at some point. We can have that corridor rather than today. But ngā mihi whaia, thank you. It's an exciting kaupapa and really look forward to seeing the development of that. And I just, before we move on to our next speakers, I just want to let everyone know that we're going to briefly adjourn the meeting at 11 o'clock because we have a workshop that we can't have at any other time, and then we'll come back to our hui. But previous to that, we will be, we have Bronwyn from NZ Plunket Trust. We have somebody from Plunket?
So Bronwyn,
kia ora, there you are.
If you want to unmute yourself.
Bronwyn, you've got 5 minutes.
Oh, kia ora. Kia ora. Thank you for that opportunity. Could I just check? We did have Lillian from Whanau Whina Plunket, our Kaikohe team, was hoping to be there, but I'm not sure. If she's not, I will talk to the project.
She is not coming, no.
Okay. So my apologies. We had our local Kai Awhina who was hoping to, who's from our Kaikohe team and who deals with whānau, but who was going to talk to it, but I will talk on our behalf. So I am the grant specialist for Whanau Whina Plunket, and I submitted the application. So thank you for this opportunity. I'll just touch briefly on the project that I've outlined in the application. So we recently, back in 2024, we carried out some internal renovations due to some funding we received to bring our Kaikohe hub up to spec, I guess, to be something that we can be proud of on the community. And Kaikohe is a community for us that we really are invested in. And we've recently had an opportunity where an generous donor has come along and offered us a $25,000 match fund opportunity, which doesn't happen every day. They really see the difference that Plunket makes in the community, and they really care about Kaikohe, and so they want to see this project come to life. So that's what's brought about this opportunity, I guess, to for us would be the cherry on the top of the services that we offer through our Kaikohe hub. And yeah, so I guess maybe the other thing just to touch on that a lot of people often don't realise that we are a charity. So whilst we have a contract with Health NZ to provide our well child tamariki order health and wellbeing checks that we carry out for Pepe and tamariki, all of our other work, our wraparound services are unfunded, and that includes our property. So we only carry out these projects when we have funding towards them. So that's just something I think. So really, it's just a great opportunity. From our point of view, we'd love to make this happen. We don't want to pass up this opportunity. So that's what's brought us here today. So I'll be really happy to leave the rest of the time for any questions you might have.
Do we have any questions?
None from me.
I have a question. Kelly, member Van Galen.
We talk about remaining open to the wider community outside the Plunkett operating hours. What if some child gets injured while there's no one on site, then is that still your responsibility? Like, how are you going to monitor?
Right. Well, that's a good question. I don't know if I can answer that other than, I mean, our main aim really is to make sure that we're not a closed-off facility. We don't want to be something that people feel they're not welcome in, that we want to be a part of the community. So if we can make that work in a way where it works for the community, that is certainly our intention. I guess that was the intention behind saying it wouldn't be closed. Our premises, their grounds aren't locked at the moment. There is a sand pit there. And I guess, look, if that was an issue, that would be something we would need to look into. But as far as I understand, that's not an issue in any of other sites around the Motu. But that's our intention is to be open and also maybe just to that point is it's not just for whānau who are registered with Whānau Awhina Plunkett. So we are. Yeah, whānau can choose which service provider they register with, but there are other services there that whānau could turn up and they don't have to be registered with us to use it. So that's the intention behind it. If there were any risks, I would need to come back to you on that, but I don't, as far as I understand, I don't think that's been an issue. And also, sorry, just to jump in, one other thing is it's a playground for young tamariki. So certainly our intention is that it would be something that tamariki would attend with a caregiver. So it's not something that we would see that would certainly be the intention of how it's used. Thank you.
And we've got one more question from Councillor Allen.
Kia ora, Bronwyn. Sorry if I missed this at the beginning of your kōrero, but would this funding secure the playground or would you still need to look for funding elsewhere?
No, that's a great question. I didn't touch on that. So if we got the funding, I see that there was a 10,000 recommended and that we applied for 17. We would, and I see it was 10,000 recommended. A big thing from our point of view, the short answer is that if we got that 10,000, we'd be calling the contractor today and it'll be happening. We have secured another $6,000 grant, which has unlocked kind of, I guess, 12,000 already. It's not every day this opportunity comes along, so we're committed to making it happen. If we got the 10,000, we would be so close to the final figure that it would secure the whole project. And I guess if we didn't, then I guess we will have a meeting with our property team just around the scale of the project and what we would need to do. So does that enough clarity for your question?
Kia ora, yes.
Kia ora. Thank you very much for your time, Bronwyn. That was very helpful. Thank you. We'll make our decision later. Ka pai.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
All right, and we have Dennis Orme to speak for 5 minutes on picnic shade sales. And just to clarify, that member Orme has declared his interest. So Mr. Orme is speaking as a member of his community.
Thank you. Madam Chair, there's not one person in this room that wants to see sunstroke or heat stroke to any of our young ones. I want you to imagine for a minute that you're up at Ahipara and you've got a whole family on the beach, young children, parents, grandparents, and they're all having such a wonderful, fun day. And then they retreat to the barbecue tables, they've got wonderful shade sails on. And the family has a wonderful day and some brilliant memories. Now, I want to contrast that to the ICU unit at Kaikohe Hospital. And here we have a 5-year-old girl on oxygen, a drip in her arm, and doctors contemplating whether or not she needs to be transferred because of potential brain damage because of heat stroke. So we have some community boards who have absolutely embraced the fact that to put shade sails up for health reasons is a positive thing to do. And we, as community board members, want to minimise our risk of creating a situation where if the family doesn't look after themselves, that we haven't provided the means for them to be in the shade and having a wonderful day. So the proposal I brought to you involves 2 locations. The first one is outside Mānia. And talking to the people of Mānia, quite often, they take people across there once the tour is over, and they look at the beauty of the sandhills, they hear the history, they look at the ocean, and they talk about the shipwreck of Joseph Craig, and they have a wonderful time out in the blistering heat. Now, is that a good tourist experience? I tell you not. The second location is on State Highway 12 by Fairley Crescent. Good residential area. It would enable families, some of whom don't have transport, to walk there, to have a wonderful picnic on the barbecue tables, which are already there, Mānia and that place. Barbecue tables already there, have a great time and be able to walk home again. There's more than 6 barbecue tables in the whole area. That's just not realistic in terms of funding. So my request is to fund 2 barbecue tables and to minimise our risk as board members that we don't end up with sunstroke or heat stroke for our community. Questions?
Does anybody have any questions?
I think, Dennis, your tone in how you presented this, your application to the way you presented it, it's like scaremongering us into doing something that, first and foremost, when I take my mokos to the beach, we don't have sand trails along Mitimiti all the way up to Ava. We have the proper equipment. As a responsible parent or grandparent, I take my own. Why should it be my problem to supply this for people who don't live necessarily in the Hokianga? Unless Open only came here and asked, but you as an individual and more so a community board member, you'll come on your own bat to ask. I don't see the value in it.
That's not actually correct. So going back to November, prior to putting a business plan together, I went out broadly to the community and solicited feedback on all sorts of different issues. And one of the themes that came out of that was in relation to shade sails. So I'm not focusing on the beautification from the shade sails. I'm talking about our board member responsibility for people who will not take care of themselves in our public places. If they do it in other areas, that's not a park or a reserve belonging to council, that's a different proposition, but we have a responsibility. So it's not my presentation, it's feedback from the community.
But we don't see that feedback in part of your application, that's the thing. And then I look at it as, we've got, your application is solely that the shade sails are going to be put up, erected. But I don't see any permissions whether we need to have council permissions to erect them. There's no costings in there to actually erect them.
There are costings in there, so.
So I'm going to, I have a different question, and I'm trying to visualise what kind of shade sails, and I guess the ones that I'm familiar with are on the Freeze Park playground and also out at Paihia. Is that the type of shade sail that you're talking about?
Yes, approximately 8 metres square, where the foundation pipes come up, but yes, very simple.
All right, are there any other questions for Mr. Orr at this point?
I'm just going along with Doug there. With all the areas the old council have, a lot of people should be happy they've got that area. And I totally, what you said about looking after your own mob. We go everywhere, even when we're at home, put your hat on. If you at it yourself, you've been hot and all that, put a hat on and sunscreen, So I'm sorry, Dennis, I'll just have to go along with Doug, on that issue there.
Oh, so I'll just pause because this is the public speaking time for Pātai and we'll come to discuss later. But ngā mihi matua. So that 5 minutes is up. Thank you, Dennis. And there will be discussion on all of the funding applications later when we make our decisions. Kia ora. So I'm being whispered in my ear. Yes, and I'll officially announce, I've already announced that we'll adjourn at 11 o'clock and I'll officially announce that we have a slight change of our agenda today with Kaikohe-Hokianga Town Beautification Prioritisation 25-26. We're going to move that to the end of the meeting to make adjustments with the rest of our agenda today, just so everyone's aware. All right, so moving along, whānau, we're going to item 6.1, which is on page 10. And the recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board confirm the minutes of the meeting held 11th of March 2026 to be a true and correct record. Do I have a mover? Do I have a seconder? Second. Any discussion? Comments? All right, we'll put it to the vote. Say, if you agree, say aye.
Aye.
Any disagreement? Thank you, that has been carried. Kia ora. So we will go to item 7.2, which is on page 21. And that is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the removal of 5 healthy poplar trees located within the road reserve adjoining number 1 Tahiki Road, Kaikohe. And I'll move that. I get it. I think Member Van Garden. And the mover, I'll speak to that. Adam. And we have our report writer, Kia ora Estee, for any questions. I'll probably make a comment and then if there's questions in the discussion. It's all right. So I just want to reiterate, as we've had to make these kind of decisions in previous hui, that I'm very against cutting down mature trees. However, looking at the report and the need for stormwater, which has been brought to our attention more and more frequently, and the need to keep safe away from the power lines, I do support this decision. I'll go to our seconder. Any comments?
So there is one line in this report that sort of irks me a little bit, and it's about the replacement of the trees actually. And it talks about, and it says this will be considered at the completion of the stormwater drainage. I want it noted now that it doesn't need to be considered, that they will be replaced. And I think council should incorporate the cost of the replacement trees within this $19,000. I mean, I don't want to come back later and go, actually, like, and if there was an allocated amount that is set with this. And I have talked with Trace at the cycle trail, and originally I wanted to keep tree 9, but she does not want to keep tree 9, and she does want low-lying plants to help with the maintenance and the less of the mowing. So tree 9 can go.
I felt the same way. Do we have any other corridor around this decision?
Oh, except to add to the inclusion of the forward planning of replacing the trees, that this is also a prime opportunity for local whānau to take up that tree planting contract. That I'll just make that note.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd like to add, Esther?
No, I just want to say that I agree with both of those contributions towards the kaupapa, and that we have had some ideas come through of where we can reach out to the likes of corrections, hapu on the ground and whānau in the area. So, yeah, definitely with hapu engagement, they would like to see 5 rākau be on that site. So we'll work with them around setback from the proposed work. So yeah, definitely all for putting in planting.
Beautiful.
So I'll just add for my final comment that 5 rako is awesome, but I would really encourage that for every tree that we cut down, we actually replace it with at least 10, not of the same size, because that's really the issue, but I absolutely tautoko. And there are organisations, local organisations who have native tree nurseries. So if that was worked with the cycle trail group and hapu, of course, then more like many trees, I won't name a number.
Yeah.
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
So I put that to the vote. If you agree, say aye. Anyone against? Okay, that's carried. So we will go to item 7.3, that's on page 34. We've got 8 minutes. So, halfway. So this is, the recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board note the project reports received from A, Nōpira Pikari, and B, Hokianga Community Education Trust website projects. Have a mover to receive. Matua Doug and member Van Galen have moved that. Any discussion on receiving these reports?
Just that the website couldn't find the community board logo. So maybe to flick it over to them for their website.
Can I make a note to whomever, possibly our funding advisor, that our logo seems to be something that many of our people who've received our funds have missed. So as part of going forward, we work strongly to ensure that they have our logo.
So through the chair, 2 things there. Anyone that receives funding receives the logo twice. They receive it when I send them the letter of offer, and they also receive it when I send them their purchase order. So anyone using the wrong one, that's a challenge there. The other one is the survey that was sent out to everyone asked on what you thought acknowledgement should look like. I've had 2 responses so far. It would be fantastic if the rest of the board could reply, because that way we can put that into the guidance that we are giving to our communities.
We'll be having a discussion on funding and feedback.
Yeah, and I'm happy to sit here afterwards and help people do the survey if they haven't had the opportunity.
Kia ora. Thank you, Catherine. Oh, we've just had...
Come on in a second. Here's the ghost voice.
So I'm not sure if this is still recording, but we're in a power cut and now we're out of a power cut.
Any hands make lights work.
So I will come back to that recommendation, and that's to receive these project reports. If you agree, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? No, so that is carried. Thank you, Whānau. I'm wondering if we can do this within 5 minutes. Our next recommendation, which is item 7.4, that is the winter 2026 rural travel funding applications on page 40. And that is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board allocates the rural travel grant funding in accordance with the recommendations received from Sport Northland as follows. A, Bay of Islands Hockey Association for $1,597. B, Dynasty Netball Team for $100. C, Hokianga Sports Club for $663. D, Upununi JMB for $414, and the total fund of that is $2,774. And there's a note here to say that the Sport Northland Community Connector declared her conflict of interest with these applications from the Hokianga Sports Club and Upununi JMB and did not participate in the funding allocation decisions for these applications. So I just want to, do we have a mover? Member Van Galen, I'll second it. Any discussion?
Through the chair, if anyone wants to view the actual applications, I can put those online. What I have given you is a summary of the applications because you would have had about another 60 pages. But if anyone wants to view those, we can provide those to you.
Kia ora, thank you, Chair.
Do you like to say anything, Member Van Galen? All right, I'll put that to the vote. If you agree, say aye. Anyone against? And that is so moved. And are we going to adjourn this meeting to make space for a workshop that had to be taken at this time, and we will come back in about half an hour. So can we confirm that the live stream is off, please? Kia ora koutou, welcome back to our Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board Hui, and we will be moving to item 7.5, I believe, which is our funding applications on page 44. And in attendance, we have our funding advisor, Catherine Cohen, and I just want to foreshadow that I'll be moving a motion that is different from the staff recommendation in our agendas. So I will move that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board defer the Royal New Zealand Plunket Trust Kaikohe Plunket Playground and Mr. Dennis Orm's picnic shade sales to which are the pride of place funding applications, and I'm asking to defer to the 6th of May 2026 to allow all applications to be considered at the same meeting, because there will be several applications coming in. Do I have a second now? Any discussion on that recommendation? So I'll put that to the vote. Hold on, I'm going to take a glass from my duty.
So just letting you know that once, if you decide to pass this, then we won't be considering being further in the agenda, that they will be at the next meeting.
Yes. Should we discuss the Jackman now before we, yes.
Okay. So the Jackman one is currently being left to lie on the table. If you are wanting to make a decision today, we can, after this, a decision has been made on this one, we can uplift it, but if you are not wanting to make a decision today, you don't need to do anything, and it will be left on the table for the next meeting.
So could I ask what, so I actually want to make it our policy thing, and I want to take that money out of private place. So then that kind of counteracts deferring the other two, if then someone's been put another motion on to pay that one out of policy from private place.
So I, for consideration, I did wonder about that, and to make it fair across the board, to my understanding, if we chose to bring that out of private place, then my preference would be to include that next month, because they're not, you know, their event is much later in the year, so that I propose that that would be included with the other private place ones as out of policy, but as a private place next month as well, along with all of the applications that come into private place.
Okay, so if we do that, can we preempt the recommendation to make it out of policy when, so it sits with the others?
If we leave it around the table where it currently is, it's probably best. Because it's out of policy, that decision is made at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, yes, all right.
So just to clarify, that would mean that I understand that that would mean that we won't uplift. Can we do that as part of this decision? Or is that a separate decision?
So that you don't make a decision on that.
Yeah.
On the table, that just means that the only funding application that we will be considering is the PALCA.
Because it's community grant. So is there any further discussion or clarification needed on any of that recommendation? Well, I'll put it up.
Dennis, do you understand what we went?
I'm opposed.
I'm sorry, because we're in a and it is discussing your application, it is recommended that you abstain from the discussion.
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I'll put that to the vote to leave those private place applications to lie on the table till next month. And that, so I'll put that to the vote. If people agree, they say aye. If anybody's against, let me know.
And I would call there's the same group.
And we all has abstained. And I can't see Scarlett, unfortunately. So that has been carried. So we will therefore, the funding applications that we will consider today come from the community grant fund. So that is the recommendation C on page, through here, this is page 45. The recommendation C that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board approve the sum of blank plus GST applicable to be paid from the board's community grant fund account to Power Trust for costs towards Youth Week 2026. Should we discuss it? I'll move it blank. Do we have a seconder? Thank you. So catching up. So they, as mover, I'll speak to that. They have asked $3,000 towards that event, and I will move for $3,000 for that event from our community grant. Is that an amount member or a second?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion?
They haven't even asked for $3,000.
They have on
They
that.
asked for $3,974.08.
So I'll recommend the amount that they have asked for, which I didn't have right in front of me.
You can do, we tend to round up and tell them not to put in the cents, but they do anyway.
Yeah, I'll stick with the $3,000. Thank you, though, Member Van Galen, for your detail as well. Matua Edie, did you want to call it on to? All right, so I'll put that to the vote. And the group say aye.
Aye.
Any against? Any abstaining? That's been carried. Right, so we've decided to leave the Jackman to not uplifted at this point, so we're going to go to item 7.6, which is the chairperson and members' reports on page 96. And that is the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board notes the August winning, that can't be right, so sorry. We'll change that. The March 2026 member report from Chair McBain and member All. Apology. I'll move that. Thank you. Any discussion? We'll go to the vote. Say aye.
No.
Any against? Any abstaining? That is carried. Thank you, Carlo. So we will go to item 8.1, which is page 103. And the recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board receive the report to put on all of them release updates. And I'd like to move receiving that report. I'll move. Your second. Thank you. Any discussion? It's just receiving this report, so I'll put it to the vote. If you're in agreement, say aye.
No.
Anyone against? Anyone abstaining? We'll receive that report. That's carried. Thank you. So we'll go to item 8.2, which is the open resolutions and actions update for April 2026 on page 106. And that is the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board received a report, open resolutions and actions update April 2026. Do I have a mover? Oh, sorry, I'm not moving. Oh, do I have a mover? Thank you, Member Te Waki. Seconder. Member Bengala. Any comments, Cordial? There is discussion from our committee.
The chair, you. Just a couple of updates since this report was written. The matter of the taxi stands, have discussed this with our policy advisor, Dan Bowman, who is looking after the parking strategy, and he has indicated that they will wrap this question up, this issue up into a parking bylaw review, which is scheduled on their program within the next 12 months. And then they can work with their transport people and yourselves, and then it will be done in a way where any queries or questions or other considerations are incorporated. So I'll make that note for the next report. And the other one was the placemaking endorsement. It's just says on there it's going up to the strategy committee, and that is scheduled and their next agenda for next week. So that was just a couple of extra things.
So I think we can need to have a quick discussion on that and
do that after time.
Yeah. Thank you. So we'll come back to accepting open resolutions and actions update. If you're agreeable, say aye. Anyone against? Abstaining? And that has been carried. So we'll come to item 7.1 on page 17, and that is the Kaikohe-Hokianga Town Beautification Prioritisation 2025 to 2026. And the recommendation is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board confirms the allocation of up to $58,254 of the financial year 2025-2026 town beautification capital budget to Horeke Village for a coordinated program of eligible town beautification works. B, notes that the specific project components will be refined through board and community input and internal feasibility and maintenance checks consistent with capital budget eligibility requirements. I'll move that. Do I have a second on that? Now we are open for discussion. I'll come back to it. Would you like to speak?
So I think Horeke spoke this morning. I think she actually gave us a list of things in her talk that fit into this, and you know that I'm with this one.
If further discussion to be had.
Tom.
Member Orr? Councillor Eddy?
Well, as she said, it's unfortunate, all the vandalism. But I think that sort of thing is going to be an ongoing thing. How you get control. And, that becomes a game. How, would it affect all these shade sales and all of that, That is the thing we're going to have to look at, really. The monitoring of these. And if they're not monitored, and we go back later and see that they will be destroyed, that makes you think, how or why or is it necessary until we get to that nuts and bolts of this thing. And you see, how about the monitoring of the expensive materials that they want to be produced? I can understand that. I see that. And, but, you know, all those, especially the picnic tables, you know, they're so easy, you know, vandalized and all that, unnecessary, unfortunately. But, you know, it's just a big full of people like.
So, as right reply, like I was doing the conservative of 500 corridor today, and all of the work that everybody has done in the Horeke plans and the Otakura Horeke area plans, they've worked really hard. These ideas have been coming to this board for many years. Those plans are some of them are quite long-standing. We've had many deputations and people come to speak to it. So I'm really, really supportive of investing this money that we're able to into Horeke, which hasn't received a lot of this kind of money from our board or from council, and there is a list there. Not all of the things mentioned earlier might come under this, but this beautification fund. However, I think, as Member Van Dalen had said on one of our workshops, is that when the community is involved and they'll bring their tamariki rangatahi to be involved and be a part of it and create some sense of pride and restoring their special areas, I'm hoping that will go some way into having, you know, as best we can for people to be caring. And I really support our board to support what Hapu community are asking for as best we're able to. So I'm pleased to be able to move this. So we'll put it to a vote, and if you agree, please say aye. For this. Is there anybody who disagrees? Anybody abstaining? And that has carried. Thank you, Father. So we have come, I believe, to the end of our zone. So we have,
through the chair, I was just going to recommend that the board has a discussion and can be after the meeting closes in order for you to provide at least a draft prioritisation list for the Horeke items that we can check. So you can feedback to the community. We can also get to asset managers so they can make a start that as well. Yeah.
Sure. So now, once we close this meeting, we're going to have further discussions and including how we move forward to best use this time. So I will turn to us. We have to do our closing karakia.
Nā tēnei tātou, pōreo te kamatawa ki te maiti ki te waiwatapu. Pērā hoki te tūmatanga āre pērā munai. Āre pērā tū wāke āke. Amen.
Live stream, any different live stream?